Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 6. Last week. Yeah.
Yep. And next week you get even more of us.
Oh, we have more?
Well. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Is that called Holy Week?
Yep.
Well. Well, week 6 of Lenten Devotion. Thank you for joining us with the journey of Lent with
Lena United Methodist Church.
Pastor Carrie at the United Methodist Church.
Like, who am I?
Yeah, that's something. Sorry, when we are recording, our minds are everywhere. And Good Shepherd Lutheran. Thank you for joining us. Hope you are enjoying this journey. It's a lot, dips of like scratching a lot, but it's a good time to really read and pray together. And it's not alone. I think that makes a difference. So what we are doing today? What's the theme?
Fear.
Fear. Didn't one of the presidents in the United States talks about fear?
Oh, probably. But is that the we have nothing to fear but fear itself one?
Yeah.
I don't know who it was.
Roosevelt.
Was it?
Yeah, it's a Roosevelt, like during the World War II. He had a distinct voice. But in one sense, when I think of fear, his statement of fear is, what was that word? Say it again. Don't fear, but...
we have nothing to fear but fear itself.
I think his statement, in a sense, I really think about it, I think it's correct. Because the fear that we have, like something afraid of, which eats up and really set us stranded in many places. And fear is like a vague thing, but really grabs us some of the time and captures and takes everything out and separates us from God.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about when I hear fear, that's kind of, it was like, yeah, it's really eats up and hard to see the presence of God or the love of God to any sense of it, because fear can really takes us looks away and lose focus, or does even not realize God is, Jesus in between us in here, just here right now, and we can forget those parts, and fear can clearly block our mind. That's kind of our thinking about that.
Well, and just thinking, fear is a very effective tool of manipulation. You think of what most of our politicians use to get you to vote for them, and it's fear of what would happen if the other side got control. And both sides of the political spectrum use that, but that idea of, the world is going to end unless you vote for me. And you see that in so many different aspects of our lives, well, you need this product because otherwise this will happen, or
you'll be dead.
Yeah, and so, I think there is a lot with that. But fear can also be healthy.
How so? Tell me more about that.
Well, if you're considering running through a pit of snakes or lions or something, it might be good to have fear to not do something like that,
Is that cool? I think that is a wisdom.
Common
it's not
sense.
a fear.
Right. But I think that it is helpful to have, and it also just it gives you a sense that of preparation for when danger's around. I think of the people that get the hurricane warnings in those regions and just whatever, it's just a hurricane. Whereas if you have healthy fear of hurricanes, you'll put up the boards on your window and make sure you've got water and food, and so I think there's a healthy balance between having like a reasonable amount of fear and allowing the fear to control you. And actually, we're often told to fear God, and I think that's a different kind of fear to think about. fear is in not this disabling, like I can't do anything, like trembling.
I think something scary or afraid.
Right, but fear is in like a respect.
Yeah.
And
I
so
don't know, the fear in English word contain that whole thing in just one word.
Yeah, and so that's what, I think we so often when we think of fear go straight to like the controlling or lack of control versus that fearing is respecting. And so I think there's a way, and you could, I think that's part of the debate that's going on right now in our society about the measures around COVID. There are some that think we're too much in the controlling fear and that we're too afraid of this virus in the sense that we're allowing it to control us. And there are others that are saying, no, what we're doing is having a healthy respect for a virus that can kill our elders, and so, that balancing of not letting fear disable us and yet also having a healthy fear that keeps us from doing things that we shouldn't be doing, right? That allows us to respect what we're up against. So I think that balancing is needed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I tend to think of the fear, it's the sense of something really more afraid or scary type. That's oftentimes I use that word. But as you're mentioning about, call it healthy fear, that which we also use, because that's, in the Ten Commandments, fear God, it's in there. Maybe that it's a Lutheran catechism, never mind. That might be.
But it's in there, yeah.
But, that's the catechism. It is a catechism. I think that now, my memory is not great. But yeah, we ought to fear God. This fear, it's that something, the fear to give the life fear. It's not the fear to, us to be like totally captured with this and dancing around with this fear and not able to do anything. And grabbing something which is not there. Right. I like that way you put that. I think that would be helpful to see that what the fear has the more bigger spectrum when we use in the scripture and here in the Bible. And I don't know. I think when, 7-8 years ago, I bet. So reading the scripture and realize I was more caught with oftentimes when the angels appears in a story.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. It's like, don't be afraid, don't be fearful. And I think all the time, and once I noticed it, then whenever I read the scripture, that words, whenever I find, like God's talking to Moses or Jeremiah or Isaiah or Joshua, all those, when I start noticing, do not be afraid. It's a very strong message kept appearing in the Bible, which means it's a scary thing. God's angel appeared. It's a scary thing because it's just so much place to be unknown.
Exactly. It's out of control. It's beyond human comprehension.
But that's kind of, it's interesting. So what it says, 352 times?
Yeah, 352 times that fear appears in the Bible, and afraid 187 times. So I did that out of the NRSV translation.
Okay. Because you don't read Hebrew and Greek, is that what it is?
Yeah, right.
Come on!
So if the NRSV changed it from others, then you might have different counts. But and it appears in 56 of the 66 books of the Protestant canon.
So it's most of the book has that either fear or afraid.
Yeah.
Because that's what's God's people.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the God's people.
And it's such the reality that the first time you see it, it's the 3rd chapter of Genesis, the very first book.
Oh, really?
The 3rd chapter of the Bible has fear in it.
But the Genesis was not the first one they put together.
No,
it's not
but the first one in the order.
Sorry, I'm Lutheran.
Not the first written
I am very Lutheran, and I went to the seminary with very strong biblical study one and did the Greek and Hebrew.
Right, but the way the Bible is now put together
But
in the can.
I get the point. I get your point. I get your
Fear
point.
is important. That's the point.
Well, actually, fear is common.
Yes.
So that when we feel fear or afraid or scary or some sense of awe,
Yeah.
those emotions are very clearly the thing God's people have it together. All those generations back, out there, Abraham also had it, as well as Mary.
Yeah.
And the Peter and all the disciples. I mean, I think that's connect us as a God's beloved. This is who we are.
Yeah. We all
do
that.
have that fear, and God continue to say, do not be afraid to us.
Speaking of Peter.
Yeah?
Peter's who we're reading about today.
Are we reading Peter today?
Yeah.
Where is it?
In the Gospel of Luke.
Hold on.
Chapter 22.
Luke 22. Mark, Luke 15, 16, 19, 21, 22. Which verse is it?
31 is where we will start. 31 to
31.
34.
Okay.
And then we'll skip a whole bunch of the story, go down to 54 to 62.
Oh, okay.
All right. So,
Read it.
31. Simon, which is another name for Peter, listen. Satan has demanded to sift all of you like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your own faith may not fail, and you, when once you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. And he said to him, this is Jesus speaking, by the way.
Okay.
Lord, I am ready to go now. So now Peter's speaking.
Okay.
And so now, and Peter said to him, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. Jesus said, I tell you, Peter, the cock will not crow this day until you have denied 3 times that you know me. So now we skip down to 54. Then they seized him, being Jesus, and led him away, bringing him into the high priest's house. But Peter was following at a distance. When they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. Then a servant girl, seeing him in the firelight, stared at him and said, this man also was with him. But he denied it, saying, woman, I do not know him. A little later, someone else, on seeing him, said, you also are one of them. But Peter said, man, I am not. Then about an hour later, still another kept insisting, surely this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean. But Peter said, man, I do not know what you're talking about. At that moment, while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly.
Yeah. You know, as I listen to, as you read the story of the Peter, and Jesus reminds you this will happen, just be strengthened, be strong. And actually the part of the Peter's story of the denial part. The way you read it, and I hear how Peter was defensive. Something in the core, it's his existence was threatened.
Yeah.
And he whether realizing or not, this is the word of the defensiveness, like somebody's attacking me. I got fight now, otherwise I'll be dead.
Yeah.
That is very appealing to him, and I got somehow to get, I have to, this is what my existence been shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that cry of the my values, my life, and what I think, it's important to me. It's you are shaking. And so that he sounds like he's come out as very defensive. And that's we get off quite a bit that way. If somebody's, coming with shaking our core.
Mm-hmm. And in a way, Peter doesn't even realize what he's doing.
Yeah, because that's the same to us. Because I've been in the United States, I don't know, 15, 16 years, I don't know, whatever the year is. So I'm a really outsider. I'm a foreigner, immigrant, and I'm outsider. And what I realized or noticed last, I don't know, 10 years or so, the country I really admire and respect. The people who has lots of sense of humor and that it's openness.
Mm-hmm.
It's this sense of embracing lots of diversity. That I noticed the people are more afraid. And even the people, who are very white, it's just like something, the way the speaking, and it's people use polarizing, but it's just a kind of the sense of somebody's attacking my existence, my core values, and I am afraid of that somebody is coming and takes away, and I do not know what happened. And in whichever the spectrum people are at, it doesn't matter, whatever you stand in politically or whatever you believe it, but that seems so captured the people in here, and fear is so spread out. And the word I hear so much is this defensive tone like the Peter was doing. I got protect, otherwise everything, like my existence is nonsense. Or all the things I believe is right, it's falling apart.
Yeah. And you spontaneously respond with that, no! Without realizing what you're, Peter, I'm sure if you asked him in a different context when he didn't feel like he was being attacked and his life on the line, would say, yeah, I follow Jesus all the time. I've gone with him everywhere. He found me on the short line.
Or the talks
and
about,
it's like, for him to just
other way.
suddenly deny everything that he, and so I think it was just like the expected response there was no, like was a fight back, was to to deny this, because it was said with an accusation.
Yeah.
It was kind of like,
an accusation.
You're a woman. Yeah. No, I'm not. Oh wait. It's because it the way it was said, and so I think how often does our fear defenses come up, and that we end up denying things that we hold dear.
Yeah.
Peter was Jesus's best friend, right?
Yeah.
And he just denied his friend. And I don't even think he realized that's what he was doing there. He was simply responding to the threat.
Yeah. Because, like, for instance, I speak English because that's which I'm living in right now, and the way to communicate people. But until I recording myself, I did not realize I have that strong accent and people are patient enough with me with listening those things. But but I was working so hard to how to improve my English, enunciation, everything, the vocabulary, how to build because it's my foreign language. I am behind. I can't compete with the native people who just thinking that way and write it down that way. It's like, I worked so hard. This is not my strength. English was my weakest subject in high school. That's what it is. Sorry, English teacher, I didn't like you. I didn't pay attention to you at all. Sorry, my English was poor. But the funny thing was that I never thought I used English in my life. So I didn't pay attention. I mean, I'm Japanese. Who needs English? All those teenage things.
Yeah.
But
don't get me started on why I did French instead of Spanish at school when everybody
No,
around
French
speaks
is fun.
Spanish.
French is, but it's different because it's different, Pastor Terry. Because I have to live in this country. I don't know why, but God did send me this way, and I really diligently, since I came to the United States, that's like really have to improve every single day, and it's so tiresome. But so I worked so hard. I put much lots into that. I put lots in there, and somebody will come and tell like, "Oh, I didn't understand what you said," and I get so defensive.
Like, after all the work I did.
I get so defensive, like, how many different languages do you speak? I get so defensive about it. But until I listen to myself, like, oh gosh, you requires lots of, you got be patient. Of course, I have no L and R and TH and B and B and F and V and so forth, so forth. So that, wow, I did not realize how patient the people around me are until that point. But I was getting so defensive. And if you put that much energy and people don't recognize it and then so forth, they goes like, oh, I got to fight that stuff back. And I goes like, you know what? That's who it is, what it is. To take that part so that when the Jesus turns back to Peter and look at him, that part of the story, to really see who I am, who we are, and Jesus still look at us at that moment. And that makes really bitter, hard reality to face. But at the same time, Jesus is not turned back.
Yeah.
Look, we are looking at the face. And that's kind of, just think about it in a way.
And I love that in Peter's story, after the resurrection, Jesus comes back and finds him and says, Peter, go and feed my sheep. This guy that fell apart, denied him. Jesus still comes back and 3 times says, feed my sheep, and do you love me? And Peter has to say yes 3 times. And Peter's getting a little annoyed with it, like, I told you I loved you, and it's like, yeah, well, you denied me 3 times, so let's hear it. And when we went and read those first few verses, Jesus knew that he was not going to all the time be the rock, and yet still made him the rock.
Because it's a Jesus invitation.
Yeah.
And, those words, I think the rock are made out of both sides of those part of the failure and mistakes and some glory and joys. All those together, because that way it makes it whole. And it's only, it's the invitation of the Christ. And those little moments, I'm sure, able to go to another day. But it's an interesting story. Okay, let's.
All right.
I think we talked. Yeah.
So our devotion piece. If you take your scrap paper, or what we do is we take our blank half of our page, and you just get that out, and then on it we're going to write our fears. And all right. So here are our guiding questions. What shakes you to your core? What constant voice of worry nags at you? If you cannot even put words to your dread, perhaps draw something to represent it. And so we'll spend as much time as we need. If you need more time than we take, just put us on pause.
Yep.
If we get done, if you're done and we're still going, just fast forward us, and we'll just go really fast.
Here is a lot to do with it. Okay, here we go. got done.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can read them too.
Okay. You want to go first? You want me to?
Doesn't matter.
All right.
Go ahead. What you did?
I drew a person.
Can you see
yeah,
it?
you can't see because anyway, I drew a person, and because for me, I very much hold fear in my body,
Okay.
and so my person, you can't see it. I'm clenching my
Also,
teeth.
your teeth is.
My teeth are clenched.
If your teeth is good, you can do that.
Yeah. So my teeth are all clenched. And, my
And
eyes are
spit?
so closed that I can't see anything, and then and my shoulders get all tensed up, and my stomach is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's how fear. I'm like,
Wow.
sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm stressed because and I don't feel it, but I can feel it. Like
In
my
the
whole
body,
body's all messed up.
can-
And so that for me, like when I think of fear, I just think of my whole body reaction
so
to it.
tense. It's the
Yeah,
whole
so
thing.
that's what I drew was all that.
Interesting. I get the different way. Do you know there's a painting called Scream?
The scream, yes.
Okay, that's my rendition of it.
Oh, fun.
That's the fear part. Is so rather you go like this, and I go like ah!
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Inside, outside.
That's the difference between us, I guess. Maybe because I grew up in Japan, I guess I don't know whatever it is. So I kind of come up to some of the what are the fears will be. So it's like loss. It's definitely the fear. Saying goodbyes are the fear. Out of control. This sense of out of control. It's quite a trigger the fear. Abundant sense of neglect. Abundant. That could be the fear. And sense of not being loved. It's a fear and uncertainty which we are at now. So
yes,
this
lots of that.
you just can't see or hold or not sure what the tomorrow is bringing or whole thing. So it's like so confused and so forth. And those I wrote down so I can scream and I can reach the screen. So now we have the bigger pot so that we can put everything very nicely. Right?
Ah! Ah!
I thought you were go with tense. After Gary, what happened? You like the scream?
Yeah, I thought I'd try out your way.
Right. So I got this tense now. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. We can put a lot of dirt in this time. We got huge, big.
Okay. Because this is the last day we are putting all the dirt, right? We are, because the next week is a Holy Week, so
You
we
dump
are.
in your dirt or you want me?
I just put it. Okay, that's fine. So my hands are clean.
Yeah, well, mine aren't.
It's okay. That would be the one pot in there. We have enough space. So, yeah. So that's that's the last day we pour in.
Yeah.
And the next.
So you want to fill up your pot if you're. Maybe I should just.
Yeah, pull that right now. So because the next week, what we are doing is we'll give a little moisture and we will plant the seed. So get the pot ready for the planting.
I'm getting there.
Is that pretty good?
Yep. All right. So,
All right, then we'll do the prayer while Pastor
Yes.
Kerry is almost done with that. So today's prayer comes from, I guess it's a beloved Holy Week hymn.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there? This is coming from the African American spiritual. This word, I think it's really think about where the Peter was at, and that word really where we stand together. So let us pray. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble. 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 Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Amen. So the next week it's a Holy Week, so that you are lucky. You have more than one time of the video with us. So we'll have video available for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
So check the Good Shepherd YouTube site. Probably if that many, that was probably the better place to go and watch there. If we can put in the website, we try. We'll see how we.
And then also on Thursday at 3 and 6 p.m.
Thursday?
Yes, next for Monday, Thursday, right? 3 and 6? Oh, Good Friday. Sorry. Ah! Yes, Thursday.
Sorry,
right.
My friend
Thursday at 7 p.m.
Right, you are confused.
Thursday at 7 p.m. Lena UMC will have a virtual communion. Are you doing anything Thursday?
Yes, Thursday 6:30. What time?
Ours is 7 virtual communion.
Oh, you have enough time. So 6:30. We try to start a little early. Facebook Live. Good Shepherd is having a service of stripping of the altar, so that you could, when we take all the parliament, all the decorations we have, the candles in the sanctuary, the altar, we take those things all down to make it bare, as Jesus was stripped from his friend and taken to the trial. So we prepare our sanctuary in that way. And at 7 o'clock, you can
Then
go to communion.
Yeah.
At home communion.
Yes, at home communion. So you find your own bread and juice. Is there traditional or wine? If you're Lutheran, you're allowed,
Yes, Lutheran, wine is good.
Methodists don't ferment our juice of the vine.
That's right, it's great.
But Methodists, you're allowed to, since you're at home, so get whatever you want.
Are you getting Lutheran?
I know, I get it. But seriously, I mean, we usually do that very traditionally as part of a whole group, and so it is stretching our boundaries a little bit.
But it's good because we can see the Christ really in there.
And Jesus took what he had on his table, so don't feel like you have to have a particular special thing to join us in communion. And
so that will
the
be
ELCA and the UMC actually share a communion table.
Yes.
So Good Shepherd folks that are welcome,
so
you are welcome to join
Facebook
that
Live
table.
Or what?
Yep, we'll be on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock.
Your the Lena UMC Facebook. Go to Lena UMC Facebook, and then you can watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely UMC folks, go watch Good Shepherd strip their sanctuary. Our worship team will be doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so know that as the congregation of Good Shepherd strips out their space, so are we. And so it's a beautiful, powerful ritual to watch. So definitely 6:30, 7 o'clock on Thursday. Then Friday.
Okay, now we are coming.
Friday.
Sorry.
3 o'clock and 6 o'clock are two congregations, and anybody else that would like to join us. We'll be joining together for an outside service. It'll be the same service at 3 and 6, so don't feel like you have to come to both unless you want to. We are hoping we will be outside for that. And so the space that we've chosen to do that will be the UMC parking lot just down the street from
Because
Good
you
Shepherd.
have parking lot.
Yes, because we have a nice big parking lot.
So you can park the car.
Yeah. So
you can sit in your car, or you can bring your chair to come out. Either way, depending on the weather.
Yeah. So and both teams will be involved in that. So definitely, Good Friday is a lot of reading. Because we go through the story yet again, and it's a story we know, but I don't know about you, every time I hear a story, I know I hear something different. And every year Good Friday speaks to different pains and hurts in my life, and so it is a very somber service, but also a very beautiful one. And I think this year, for us, if it's not raining, for us to not be in our building, either congregation will not be in our building, is a very powerful statement. Because on Good Friday, it seemed like everything had fallen apart and everything that they knew was gone. And so that shaking up that we've experienced this year of not always being consistently in our buildings, And knowing that Jesus was in that too.
Yeah, and I think being outside, adding to, those women are on the foot of the cross.
Yeah.
And if we are in outside, I think the same scripture speaks differently.
Yeah.
Because we can feel this air, what's going.
Yeah.
And the service we use the Caroline to play so that it's really the whole community can hear with our sorrows and the pain.
Yeah.
That we lift up elves together. So 3 and 6.
3 and 6. Are you doing anything Saturday? We're not.
No.
Okay. No. So Saturday.
You watch the video.
One tradition, if you do want a special practice this time of year, one tradition is to either fast from food on Saturday. As
you
as
guys must be Methodist.
Or another option you could do is a fast of silence. I've done these before. Incredibly powerful not to say anything from Good Friday service on Friday until Sunday morning.
Oh, you don't speak. It doesn't fast of silence mean
because it's silent Saturday, right? And so, you and obviously modify that for whatever way feels special for you.
Just cook the ham for the next day.
You could do that too.
And bake the cinnamon rolls and.
Yeah.
Oh well. See, so that's the difference out there. Lutherans goes like, just pick it up.
Whatever works for you to acknowledge.
People, but I think I would like you guys have a chance to watch the Holy Saturday video we produce, because that is the part we are doing. It's the reading for Easter Vigil, which is the story of God's deliverance. One story to another. We hear over and over again, God delivered God's people from slavery, fear, exile. God delivered God's people from that. That's what you have the video. So hope you will just take a time to just hear the scripture or read yourself by itself, to remember, even we are midst of this totally chaotic situation, which is so much as to be afraid, so much as to be upsetting and grieving. God delivers. And I think that message, God delivers from all the difficulties. So that would be something you can do too.
Yep.
And I'm not going to call you on Saturday then. You are not answering my phone.
I didn't say I was going to do it this year. I just said I have in the past, and it's very powerful.
Oh, okay. That's what
we have to finish up. Easter Sunday.
Oh, we still got to go with Easter Sunday with this
one. So our
too.
worship team says, we're going to go over to the cemetery at 7 o'clock. Well, we find out the Lutherans are already over there. So you know what we're going to do, UMC? We're going to go crash Good Shepherd service at 7 a.m. on Easter morning.
We'll extend the invitation and hospitality that if you show up 7 a.m. Easter Sunday sunrise service, we are happy to have and worship together. This is the first attempt, I do not know, but I watched the video, Pastor reading this Easter story at the cemetery when the birds are chirping and the place are getting brighter and brighter. I think that I was watching it, I said story came alive. And I would like for us to, what is important is whether you're Methodist or Lutheran or whatever you want to claim, the Easter message, this Easter story coming alive, just being there, I think it makes a difference. And worship is an experience. So that place, hope the weather is good, please. I think it would be a great. But it might be rain that day too,
Yes,
we always think about Easter Sunday, it's sunny. But the scripture did not tell what the weather was. We know women were going when it was dark. So we gather when it was little dark, and we hear the Easter story together. I think that would be That would be neat, and that would be very holy.
Yeah. And then 9 a.m. We have a service on the Lena UMC Facebook page and here in our sanctuary. And then
we are the 9:30 sanctuary as well, in-person sanctuary or the fellowship hall. You can go either way, and also with the Facebook Live.
So we will see you a lot next week. Woohoo! I love Holy Week.
I hate Holy Week. That's the time they crucify the pastors. That's what my friend said to me once. But it's a lot to do. But at the same time, I love the journey.
Yes, and that's the journey from the lowest of lows to the.
It's just like
gloriousness of Easter.
And it's just the God's sacredness comes to very concrete sense on earth to me. So hope you will join us. All right, I think we are good
bye,
now.
everybody.
All right, bye. Have a good week. See you next week.